What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video, back with yet another mock draft. We're drafting from the 4 spot today, half PPR, doing 2 flex spots. We switched it up a few times. So 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. Going with David Johnson at the 4 spot. So we only have a few more spots left. We've done, I think now, 1 through 5, and then maybe 7, 10, and 11. I feel like we've done all of those, but I wrote it down so I'll know. But we're doing all 12 positions, few days left of this. So David Johnson first, Zeke goes 5, not first overall, first for me, because I'm picking 4. Goes Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, Hopkins, and Adams. That's your top 7, which is why I kind of like the 7 pick. It's what I picked in my last one. But we're going to see how this one shapes up. I think from looking at ADPs, I guess beforehand, there's a chance that Evans is the wide receiver left, but there's basically no chance that Julio, Michael Thomas, Tyreek, Odell, Juju. It's pretty unlikely that one of those guys will be there at the next pick. Would be pretty sweet start if one of them were, but we'd take Evans there as well. That'd be nice. But again, it always depends on what running backs are available at our pick. And there goes Mike Evans. So yeah, okay. This is basically turned out exactly how I've thought it would. And you get, wow, that stinks, right at the 4 pick. So when you get back to your next selection, that's where that tier just drops off. And even actually at this pick here at 2-8, honestly, I don't even know where to go. So your options at running back, if you want to start 2 backs, are Fournette, Kerryon Johnson, Freeman, Aaron Jones, and he took Kelsey. I was going to think about taking Kelsey. So running back, you're basically looking at Fournette, Gurley. I mean, it's not good options. But then at wide receiver, this also stinks too. Like, I don't want Antonio Brown. I don't want Thielen. It'd be Keenan Allen, Mari Cooper. Yikes. I think I can still get one of them, though, so I'm not concerned with wide receiver. So I basically have to take a running back with this pick. I can look Gurley, which isn't as bad as your 2. I can look Kerryon Johnson, but boy, is that early for Kerryon Johnson. Freeman, Aaron Jones. I don't want any of these guys at this pick. Huh. Okay. Let's see what happens. So we're going to take Gurley, even though I don't prefer taking him. Just because there was all that talent drops off. So once you get to here at this Mike Evans pick, I want all of these people. I want the rest of this, but I want this in rounds 3 and rounds 4. But that's what happens when you're drafting against people who are actually paying attention, because in a lot of drafts on a lot of sites, people aren't making very intelligent decisions. But we weren't going tight end there. Again, like I said, I don't want Antonio Brown. All these wide receivers in this range, I feel the exact same about all of them. So don't want to go there. And then at running back, like I just said, these guys are fine, but these are not second round running backs. So I can take the risk with Gurley, knowing that he's not my 1, right? Like, I do not want Todd Gurley as my running back 1. But let's assume Gurley gets, I don't know, 14 carries and 4 targets per game. Realistically, he could return late second round value. He's not going to return late first round value, more than likely, even if the touchdowns are there. Late second round, he could do it because he's going up against guys like Fournette, who could easily get hurt, Kerryon Johnson, who we still don't know that much about him. I know he's great. I really want him on my team, but we don't know that much about him. Wide receiver. So I'm not taking T.Y. Hilton in the 3rd round, obviously, with Luck retired. I'll still take him, but not in the 3rd round. Options, Amari Cooper. No. I don't really want these guys. And since I risked it with Gurley, I should probably take another running back here. So my next rated running back is Chris Carson. We know that he is the 1. It's not 1A, 1B. It's 1 and 2. He's going to get a ton of targets. The only possible way that he doesn't return third round value is if he gets injured. But since you could say that about Fournette, Carry-On, Devonta Freeman, Aaron Jones, you could say that about every single running back going in this range, and he's got just as much, if not more, upside than all of those guys. Although I'll say Fournette has more upside, so there's a better case for drafting Fournette, but he was gone right after my pick. I don't really like this spot at all. I'm kind of glad that in my league I have the 7, because at 7 you are guaranteed, doesn't matter what people do, to get one of these top 2 tiers of players. But I don't have Gurley in the top 2 tiers. He's leading the next tier, but I don't want to draft the next tier right after that tier is gone. So, unfortunate spot, but I'm still cool with it, because honestly, we can treat Gurley right now as just a flex option. With David Johnson just getting a crazy amount of volume, crazy amount of receiving volume, with Chris Carson being a very, very, very good running back too. So I'm treating Gurley as my flex, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I really don't think there was another pick in that range. I'm not taking some of these wide receivers over him with how much wide receiver value there is. We have kind of, I don't want to say locked ourselves into a box, but we don't have a ton of places to go other than wide receiver with the next pick, because I don't really think I would take a tight end here unless maybe George Kittle is available there. I'd think about it depending on who the tight end or who the wide receivers are, but we're for sure not going running back, right? I mean, no. Even if the running backs currently on the board are all there at my pick at 4, I will not take any of them. There's no case to be made. Yeah, there's no case to be made for taking any of those guys. So we will look at wide receiver. Pretty incredible though, like drafting. I know Sleeper is the most difficult site to draft on. So like if you're on ESPN or something, do some Sleeper drafts, and then you go and join an ESPN league, and your team, I mean, you're awful at drafting if you can't make a dominant team on ESPN or Yahoo or NFL.com. Sleeper's very difficult because the ADPs are really good. But I think that on these other sites, like there are places you can get Damian Williams in the 3rd, the 4th round. All these running backs, Henry, Jacobs, Jones, Montgomery, Carson, they're not going in the 3rd round on these other sites. But they are here because the ADPs are competitive. But I still think we get a solid wide receiver here. So we're not going to, well, T.Y. could drop, I guess. I wouldn't think we'd get T.Y. Maybe Cooks is available, probably not. Maybe Robert Woods. Hoping for Chris Godwin. Would be phenomenal start to this draft to get Godwin and Lockett in the next 2 rounds. I'd consider it highly unlikely, like almost 0% chance that happens, but it'd be a pretty neat start. So we don't get any of these guys. We don't get Godwin. We don't get Lockett. We don't get Galladay. That's just great. I hate the 4 pick. This is terrible. You're left with absolutely nothing. I'm not taking tight end here. We can consider it in the 5th round, but I'm not taking them here. Not taking the running backs, not taking a quarterback. So we're left with T.Y. Hilton, who we don't really want to take either. Julian Edelman don't want. Cooper Kupp don't want. Don't want A.J. Green. Wow. So we're basically left with Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Mike Williams, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. Gross. Huh. We might have to take T.Y. I have 10 seconds to decide. I'm not taking Edelman. I can't take Kupp as my one. Well, he's... Wow. Wow, yeah, you have to take T.Y. Hilton there. Which, like I said in whatever video that was, talking about injuries, T.Y. Hilton was going in the 2nd round, and I would take, I said T.Y. and Marlon Mack every time in the 5th round. I think 5th round's great for them. But how far should we really drop T.Y.? Because Brissett, by every indication, has made some really nice strides going into this season. T.Y. Hilton, obviously, we know is great. And now they're going to have to go way more pass heavy because they're obviously not going to be winning as many games. So I still would have T.Y. I don't remember what he is in our latest projections, but T.Y. Hilton could still be, what, 1,100 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns, which isn't phenomenal, but that would still return fourth round value, being towards 1,100 to 1,200 yards, getting in that, because I say 6 touchdowns, but you can be 6, 7 touchdowns. You don't really know where he's going to be. So I don't think he's a bad pick. I just don't think he's there's no other options in that range. Like, there's still great players, but I'm not taking Robbie Anderson in the 4th round. Like, I love Robbie Anderson. I love D.D. Westbrook. I love DJ Moore. I love Alshon and Kirk and Samuel, and there's so many guys I love down here, which is why I guess this is fine, because I'm still going to get some of these players, but I'm not taking them in the 4th round. So I guess give me the upside of T.Y. Hilton. Really interested to see, I guess, how they plan on using him in this offense with Brissett now, because we knew it was going to be fantastic with Luck. What's it going to be with Brissett? Still definitely not. I mean, we don't need running back. We're set at running back. We don't take quarterbacks early. So tight ends, they will not be there in the 6th round for sure. So it's not like risk it and wait till the 6th round. We will not get Howard, Ingram, or Henry at that range. So basically, we either forego all of them, which means we're waiting till the end for one of these wide receivers. But realistically, I have so many of these wide receivers in the exact same tier with projections that are very close to each other. So I don't care which one I get as my 2. But I do want O.J. Howard. Well, at least I want one of them, and I have O.J. Howard ranked the highest out of all of them. I don't think he went off this preseason, which is great, because if he'd caught a few touchdowns, then he'd be going in the 4th round with Ertz and Kittle. But getting a nice discount on him behind that first tier. Not a crazy discount. But again, everyone in this draft watches my videos. In your hometown leagues, you're not going to get Ertz and Kittle typically in the 4th round, especially mid-4th round. They're going to be going a little bit earlier. There'll be quarterbacks who are off the board in this range. So it'll be a little bit different. But I still, like I said, Howard in the 5th round every time. I don't really care where in the 5th round, but it depends on your league. Actually, I think Friday's video, I go over that. The idea of understanding where you're drafting. Like, I know with these people in this draft, I guess it's unlikely. I'm not willing to take the risk that Ingram or Henry or Howard are all going to be there again at the 6. But if you're drafting on ESPN with a few random people, or even people who aren't like that in tune with fantasy, you probably will be able to get one of them in the 6. So it's different. You just got to know who you're drafting with, I guess. Oh, come on. Every time I thought I was going to get a player, I end up not getting said player. It's not the worst thing. There's still some great options here. So with this pick, you're basically looking at Deshaun Watson if you really want to take a quarterback early. I'm not. We're already good at tight end. We won't even be drafting another one for the rest. At running back, listen, a lot of names, not a lot of names I'm excited about, and we're thin at wide receiver, so we basically need to go with wide receiver. I'm taking Christian Kirk because people love to overreact to things, whether it's good or bad. One bit of news sways the public's opinion crazy amounts, and when they watch back-to-back now preseason games of the Cardinals offense, not the offense they're going to run, whatever makeshift offense they were putting out there, not produce very well, they get scared and they stop drafting players where they should be drafting them, which is why Kyler Murray's going down in drafts. People are scared of David Johnson. Christian Kirk's going down in drafts. If you want to be concerned about Christian Kirk, then be concerned that he wasn't in on all of Kyler Murray's first-team reps. That's what you should be concerned about. But to be concerned that someone's bad in the preseason, it's the preseason. The preseason doesn't matter at all unless you're talking about snaps. That's it. I don't care how people look in the preseason. It doesn't matter. And the one thing that we know is that they're not running the offense they're going to be running in the regular season. And even if they're terrible on a per play basis, they're going to run so many plays. They're going to take so many shots down the field that they're going to pay off in fantasy. So don't be concerned with preseason. Definitely will take Christian Kirk here. And there goes Dede, of course. I was hoping to get one of Robbie Anderson or Alshon, then to get Kirk on the way back. But my backup plan was to take Kirk and then get Dede. Well, now Dede's gone, so that's fantastic. Don't love the options on the board. So we could go AJ Green. We could go Will Fuller. No, I'm not taking these guys yet. So our option, AJ Green, Geis. We're not already starting with Darwin Thompson and Breida. And we're definitely not taking a quarterback now that Watson and Baker are off the board. We'd go with Rodgers, but I'm not going with Rodgers there. Oh my goodness. I mean, I might as well just draft every player that I've said to avoid at this point. But I was saying avoid AJ Green in the 3rd round. Gets hurt. Probably coming back, week 2, week 3. Said he'd probably drop to the 5th round. He dropped to the 5th round, but then the report came out that it wasn't as easy of a surgery as they thought. Drops to the 6th round. Drafting with people who follow our advice. No one takes him in the 6th round. Goes to the, what is this? Is this early 7th? The early 7th round? At that point, I've said avoid these people. I don't hate players. I hate ADPs. And on normal sites, Todd Gurley is going in the early 2nd round. He just is. That's where you have to take Todd Gurley if you're playing on one of the big platforms. Or if you're playing in your hometown league. That's where he's going, is over here. You cannot take Todd Gurley any earlier than I took him here. You're taking Kelsey over him. You're taking all of the top eight wide receivers. You're taking all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Taking all of those 11 running backs ahead of him. All those people. Every time you're taking ahead of Todd Gurley. But you look at this point afterwards. Everyone has injury risk. Everyone has upside problems. Or is in a range of wide receiver where they're pretty much all the same. And I don't really care which one I get. So this is where you take Todd Gurley. So I hate him at his ADP. That's later than his ADP is. T.Y. Hilton. I said typically take him in the 5th. Well, typically when people aren't taking all the players that you've hyped up. O.J. Howard, 5th round. Yeah, I like O.J. Howard in the 5th round. Christian Kirk, love him in the 6th round. A.J. Green, I was saying don't take him in the 5th, but 6th round, now 7th round for A.J. Green. Let's assume that A.J. Green, let's just say he comes back in week 4, right? Because right now I'm not starting him, right? No, I'll have to get a wide receiver. Yeah, I'll have to get a wide receiver or a running back to fill up that last flex spot. But I don't need to start him early in the season. You don't need to start really any of your 7th round picks. You can find someone. It's not a big deal. So let's say he comes back a month into the season. Realistically, he's at an increased chance of getting an injury. He's at an increased chance of hurting the ankle again. But if he doesn't, then he's probably a low-end wide receiver 1 while he plays. So I don't love drafting A.J. Green. Again, I want to take basically every wide receiver that went off the board ahead of him. But let's be honest, Will Fuller is coming off of a torn ACL. And there are concerns about volume with Allen Robinson. Pettis, there's concerns he's even the starter. Sanders is coming off a torn Achilles. Watkins is hurt every 3 minutes. Now you're in Geronimo Allison and Marquez range where they'll probably be available at the next spot, but their ADP is at 100. So it's AJ Green. That's the pick. So even when I say you got to avoid players, avoid them where they're typically going in drafts for certain reasons. But you don't need to just avoid doesn't mean don't draft. No circumstance where you can draft him. Well, no, because he's my wide receiver 3, and if he comes back healthy, I've got him with T.Y. Hilton and Johnson and Gurley and Carson and Howard. And what I think about Kirk, with the volume that he's going to get, I mean, if everyone in this lineup is healthy, it's definitely a championship start. Because I got my problems with Todd Gurley and his injury risk and his volume concerns. But realistically, would it shock anyone if he scored 17 touchdowns this year? No, it's probably not going to happen. My guess for what Gurley finishes at is probably 1,000 yards, probably 12 to 13 touchdowns, maybe 30 to 35 receptions. That's probably where Gurley's at. So run that against everyone else going behind him, and it's basically the option was him or Leonard Fournette. Or I guess Kerryon, but my problem in saying Kerryon's unproven isn't that he's unproven from a talent perspective. I love Kerryon Johnson. He's incredible. But he hasn't proven to be able to handle any more volume than we expect Gurley to get. So, like, I expect Kerryon Johnson to get, 14 to 15 carries, more work in the receiving game, but not by a whole lot, but then much fewer touchdowns because he's on the Lions, not on the Rams. So, when you work it out like that, he is essentially Todd Gurley with a little bit less touchdown upside. Well, it finally looks like we're not going to get everyone taken in front of us with this pick. I'd have been pretty much cool with Pettis, Allison, or MVS here. What just happened? That was weird. I'll have to look back at that. Did this person not draft Darwin Thompson, and then all of a sudden it got switched to Dante Pettis? Maybe I'm just hallucinating, but I'm pretty sure that's what just happened on the screen. But anyways, I don't really care between Allison and MVS. If I had to choose, it's MVS, just because even if Allison, even if Allison takes a little bit more targets because he's in the slot, maybe this is a chance he takes more targets. MVS will do more with his targets, and he just has more upside, more big play potential given how they are athletically, where they play on the field. And I'd prefer a more big play receiver in an Aaron Rodgers offense as opposed to Allison, because Allison will play the slot, but like so will Adams, so will MVS. It's not like Allison's, the full-time slot receiver. That's not what it's like. So I prefer MVS, but I literally have them right next to each other in the rankings. MVS is just one spot ahead. Next pick, you can consider Corey Davis, given that A.J. Brown has not been as good as we thought, at least right now. I mean, he's still young. Maybe next year he can prove something. Don't love that pick. I probably won't be making the pick just because they've got Humphreys. They've got a ton of volume that's going to go to Henry. They've got volume that's going to go to Walker. And they're not a high-volume offense to begin with. So I probably won't make that pick. I'd prefer Fitz, but I don't think I'd take Fitz with already having Kirk on my team. Kind of caps upside of each of them, because if one goes off, then the other probably didn't have that great of a season. I would probably take Deshaun Jackson here, but you could take Jackson, Sutton, Moncrief would be the three that I would look at. QT a little later on, Gallup a little later on, Deebo Samuel, Hollywood Brown, I guess. Kenny Stills in the off chance he gets traded. We can look at running back again, though. We've kind of abandoned that position, but we're set at it. I mean, DJ, Gurley, Carson, I'm pretty comfortable going into the season with that. So I'm looking for pure upside with these picks. Pollard would have been nice to have. Breda would have been nice to have. They get taken, and so does Moncrief and Fitz. So our options at our pick are we go with Jackson or Sutton. Those are the only two wide receivers I'd look at. At running back, Lamar Miller is still ranked for some reason. Tore his ACL, so we're not taking him. We're not taking Hunt. Not taking Jordan Howard, McCoy. So our option is Darwin Thompson, Justin Jackson, Justice Hill, Damian Harris. Of those, I have Darwin Thompson ranked highest. Unlikely he makes it to my next pick. Possibly makes it to my next pick. So our wide receivers are T.Y., Kirk, A.J. Green, MVS. I am fine starting the season like that. So I will take Darwin Thompson here. I know ninth round feels early on him, but he's the clear backup to Damian Williams. And Damian Williams is still the clear starter, but anyone can suffer an injury. And Darwin Thompson's still going to get work. It's not like they're going to feed, we've never thought they were going to feed Damian Williams with like 20 carries and 10 targets a game. Like, that's not what they want to do. He's the clear guy, and he's who you want, but they're not just going to feed him all the time. So Darwin Thompson will have like in this 2-flex league, like theoretical option in the flex. You don't need to because I've drafted him in the 9th. I'm not starting anyone from this point on. But oh my goodness, the upside if something were to happen to Damian Williams. But if you didn't want that, you could have gone Justice Hill. You could have gone Justin Jackson, Alexander Madison, but I would have taken Damian Harris definitely ahead. But even that, like Damian Harris is in the exact same situation as Darwin Thompson is. Justice Hill is in pretty much the exact same situation. Justice Hill has more standalone value because I do think they use him as the third down receiver just out of the gate. And I don't think Darwin Thompson is just like in the third down role or anything. But for Damian Harris, like Sony Michel's the guy. He's getting a large chunk of the early down work to start the season. We know James White is getting like all the third down work. So I don't expect Damian Harris to go in there and just command a bunch of carries. I think throughout the season, he can take a larger workload. And there's always the chance that Sony Michel can get hurt, given that he's suffered a million injuries in his career. But it's the same thing. Like all of these running backs late, all you're looking for is a path. What's their path to starting on a championship team? And do they have one? Like LaShawn McCoy pick. I'm not making that pick in the 9th round because he has this many paths. 0. There is not a single championship team that will be featuring LaShawn McCoy in any capacity. It doesn't happen. But could there be a championship team with basically all of the other running backs taken in this round? Yeah, there's a path. There's a path for all of them. So that's really the only question you're asking yourself when you're making these picks. Let's run through the team. We haven't done that in a little bit. So we've got David Johnson, Todd Gurley, T.Y. Hilton, Christian Kirk, O.J. Howard, Chris Carson, A.J. Green, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Darwin Thompson. Looking at that briefly, we actually have, we've got 4 running back and 4 wide receivers with the tight end. So we don't need to favor running back or wide receiver, although I'll say running back dries up about 2 rounds earlier than, I said running back, right? Running back dries up a little bit earlier than wide receiver. Even in the final rounds of wide receiver, there's still a bunch of guys that have some sort of path to production. And a lot of these guys just will not be drafted at all. So I'm thinking we take a running back with this pick. Would probably be smart to get Malcolm Brown, but he's taken, so we're not going to. That would have been nice to get Malcolm Brown in the 10th, but he goes. So we're basically left with Damian Harris, who we wanted. Ito Smith. Ty Montgomery, honestly, is going to start the season producing. I wonder what his DFS price is, but he's going to start the season spelling Le'Veon Bell. It looks like, and there goes Damian Harris. So it looks like to start the year, they're not going to give Bell a full workload. They're going to kind of ease him in, which makes sense. I mean, he hasn't played football in a very long time, or like in-game football. So, and Ty Montgomery's looked great in the preseason, and it looks like he's the clear-cut backup if something were to happen to Le'Veon Bell. So he's not a bad pick here. I actually might consider him. But since he'll be there at the next pick. Why don't we look at wide receiver? Because he's going to be there. I don't think someone's going to take him. We've got Anthony Miller. QT. Yeah. Let's take QT. I know he's got the, what was it, quote unquote, not serious ankle injury that they won't tell us about, that's held him out for a while and looks semi-serious. Who knows what's happening with Kiki, but it kind of looks like he'll be limited to start the season, but I think he's going to be back, if not week 1, pretty soon after week 1. And if you look at his stats when he's given like more than half the snaps, it's incredible. Now it's super small sample size and you can't really go off of it, but oh my goodness, the the stats that he's put up are just incredible, and they're gonna have to throw the ball a ton. I've heard rumblings they could, they meaning the Texans, if you don't know, could sign Jay Ajayi. I posted on Twitter, there's a possibility that the Chiefs cut Carlos. Well, they're going to cut Carlos Hyde, but there's a possibility that when they cut him, he signs with the Texans. I hope none of that happens because I want to see the Texans offense operate with Duke Johnson as the lead back, just getting all the carries, but them not run the ball that much. Make Duke Johnson the lead back, but give him 12 to 13 carries a game. Don't give him carries. Throw the ball 50, 55 times a game. They're going to get sacked a lot, and you're going to want to play defenses against them. But, guys, like if this offense is healthy, and they've got Fuller, they've got Kiki, they've got Hopkins, they've got Duke Johnson as receiving back out of the backfield, how epic is that offense going to be under Watson? It's going to be so fun to watch, and I really hope it happens. But I don't like their organization. They make dumb decisions, which is why I said they're probably going to sign the terrible Carlos Hyde, give him 15 carries for 40 yards a game, and lose in a division that they should win. That's probably what's going to happen. But boy, give the keys to the offense to Deshaun Watson and just play it with Duke Johnson and throw the ball a ton, and you'll win the division. If you work for the Texans and you're watching this, I know no one does, they'll win the division if they do that. But they won't because they're the stupid Texans. All right, let's draft a player. I'm pretty surprised that Ronald Jones and Jordan Howard are still available at this spot. I'm tempted to take Jordan Howard here. So my saying I'm tempted to take Jordan Howard is basically because it's Clement as the backup to these two, and it's no one. So let's say Miles Sanders gets hurt, because I think Miles Sanders takes over week 2, week 3, and just is the clear-cut guy. But there's a chance, I'm not going to actually end up taking him, but I just want to do my monologue. So there's a chance that Sanders gets hurt, right? Because any running back in the league could get hurt. And if I'm looking for upside here in the 11th round, because I've got 4 picks left, but one of them's defense, so 15th round defense, 14th round quarterback. So I've got 3 picks left, and probably 1 to 2 of them are going to be a running back. So I'm looking for a guy in this spot that come week 2, if there's just an awesome option on free agency that I can just spend a bunch of my fab on, spend my waiver priority on them, I want guys in this range that I can drop. I can be like, all right, Jordan Howard's not the guy right now, just get rid of him. But what happens in week 1 if Miles Sanders goes down? He tears his Achilles, he tears his ACL, something like that happens. Jordan Howard in that offense is now a high-end running back 2. Well, those are the people I want to be drafting in this range, right? And I do that. I take Ty Montgomery because it's the exact same thing. I just think that Ty Montgomery has a better opportunity even early in the season to actually get some work. But if Le'Veon Bell goes down, Ty Montgomery is going to dominate this season because that offense is incredible. So that's why I like Ty Montgomery. But both of those, I guess, theoretically are picks. Even though I've said avoid Jordan Howard, this is 3 rounds later than he usually goes, just because everyone in this draft listens to my advice and doesn't want to draft Jordan Howard. All right, guys, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take these next 2, and then I'm just going to show the rest of the draft because it's going to be one of the quarterbacks late, one of the defenses late. I put some people in the queue. At running back, I don't see anyone. I guess Mike Davis, but Raquel Armstead. No one on the list right now has a direct path to production. So we'll just take a shot with Ronald Jones. I don't really see a scenario at this point where he's starting for you on a championship team. But I guess if they don't trade for anyone and then Peyton Barber gets hurt, and then Peyton Barber gets hurt, I mean, he's going to be the guy. But honestly, they have Dare Ogunbowale, I think it is, as well. So, but there's really no other running back in this range. Wide receiver, guess I could have taken one, but I don't really care who I get between Marquise Brown, Albert Wilson, Miles Boykin, Trey Quinn. Those are some of the guys that I like the talent on, I like the opportunity on. So one of them, don't really care who it ends up being. At quarterback, I mean, we have the option of Newton, of Kyler Murray, Winston, Lamar Jackson, Rivers. We're going to end up getting one of them. And then we're going to pick a defense that's going to work out for us. So honestly, at this point, I'm just going to put the team on the board. No reason having you guys wait around. That's the end of this one. I hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting that like button? If you're new here, how about subscribing to the channel? But thanks for watching.